While the US government continues to invest tens of billions of dollars in Ukraine, Washington's competitors are increasing their superiority in the field of hypersonic technologies. At the moment, the United States is only at the initial level of mastering hypersonic technologies, while Russia and China have moved to a new level of development in this field of weapons. Moreover, hypersonic weapons are not only in service with the Russian army, but are also actively used during combat operations. At the same time, the United States is only trying to create its own analog of the Russian hypersonic missile Kinzhal. Moreover, while the United States is trying to create its first hypersonic weapon, Russia is increasing the nomenclature of its already impressive arsenal of hypersonic missiles. So, recently, the US military was seriously frightened by another bad news from Russia. It became known of another latest Russian development in the field of hypersonic technologies. We are talking about the latest Russian hypersonic missile, Zmeyevik. Even though the main characteristics of this hypersonic missile are classified, the Pentagon has already nicknamed it the killer of aircraft carrier combat groups. Chinese experts, studying the available information about the latest Russian hypersonic missile Zmeyevik, said that it far exceeds the characteristics of the Chinese long-range hypersonic missiles Dongfeng 21D and Dongfeng 26. According to available data, the range of the latest hypersonic missile Zmeyevik is 5,000 kilometers, while the speed of movement of the rocket reaches 7,000 kilometers per hour. It is known that the latest hypersonic missile will be used as a coastal missile system. Chinese experts also noted the size of the latest missile. It is much smaller and more compact than its Chinese counterparts, which allows it to be used on many other carriers. If all these characteristics of the latest hypersonic missile are confirmed, it will mean that Russia has finally zeroed out the full power of the US Navy's aircraft carrier combat groups. Now, Russia possesses not only hypersonic Zircon missiles, capable of destroying any large surface object of the US Navy, but also a hypersonic missile Zmeyevik, capable of turning into dust the carrier battle groups of the US Navy. Moreover, the hypersonic missile Zmeyevik makes useless the use of combat aviation on board aircraft carriers. The fact is that the radius of destruction of the latest hypersonic missile is an impressive 5,000 kilometers, and because of this, carrier battle groups will be forced to stay at a distance of 6,000 to 7,000 kilometers from the coast, which will not allow the Americans to use combat aviation. However, the compact size of the rocket Zmeyevik allows it to be used on ships and even submarines. If over time the Russians manage to deploy these missiles on other carriers, then this will mean the complete helplessness of the US Navy, whose aircraft carriers will no longer be able to leave their native harbor. Meanwhile, at American military forums, many experts do not hide their dissatisfaction. According to them, while the Pentagon is posting videos with individual elements of the future American hypersonic missile, the Russians are actively using the Kinzhal hypersonic missile during combat operations, while developing the latest hypersonic missile Zmeyevik, which is capable of taking under fire control not only Alaska and Hawaii, but also all coastal ports of the United States.